Hey everybody, it's Ricki Heller from rickiheller.com. I'm just going to move this a little closer because I think my sound wasn't so great last time. How with this new normal, or should I say this new abnormal, right? Because everybody's adjusting to living a different way. And for those of you who don't know me, I'm Ricki Heller, and I help people on restricted diets learn to stick with it so that they can live lives happily while loving their food and living the best life possible. When you think about this new normal, there's really two parts. There's the first part, which I'm going to talk about today, which is sort of recreating or easing into normal. And then there's a part where we start something completely new and different. And I think we need to do one before we are emotionally and mentally and psychologically capable of doing the second one. So that's why I wanted to talk about that today, because of course, right now as I'm filming this, as I'm recording this, as my husband reminds me, it's not film, it's recording. Um, we are in the very midst of a global pandemic, COVID-19, the likes of which the planet has never seen in our lifetimes. I just saw a meme this morning about a guy who's 104 who's both survived the Spanish flu and COVID-19. He's probably the only person on the planet who's been here for both of them and survived, right? It's extremely unusual, and even if you were around for the Spanish flu in 1918, you probably don't remember it that well, right? Because you're in your hundreds. So it's unprecedented. And what that means is everybody, you, me, even the people who are observing the shelter at home, the people who are breaking the shelter at home, everybody, the police, the doctors, the nurses, we are all experiencing something completely different from any of our previous experiences. We might be freaking out a little, and that's totally normal. And part of the reason why, I hear from people who, and I look on social media and see that people are having such a hard time adjusting to working at home and to being at home. It's not because it's a horrible place. It's not even because it's a horrible way to be. I mean, basically, as I've been saying, if you think about your situation, probably if you're watching this, that means you are in some kind of a home, a house, an apartment, a country home, whatever it is for you. And you have shelter. You probably have enough food to eat for the next day or few days. You have clean drinking water. You are physically safe. If you're well enough to watch this, that means you're not incredibly ill. So the immediate living conditions are really not so bad for most of us. But the problem is our brain is hijacking what we know logically. So let me explain a little bit. And you've probably heard a lot about the stress response and anxiety and the amygdala in the brain, but I'm going to repeat it again because it applies so well to this situation. As human beings and through our evolution, we're basically hardwired to avoid change. And I know that sounds strange because your whole life has changed, but we really are wanting to keep things as much the same as possible because that's a survival technique that's built into our genes. So just as an example, if you think of our ancestors and how they stayed safe. If you're a hunter-gatherer and you're walking along and there's bushes and trees and everything, hey, welcome. There's bushes and trees and whatever on every side of you, and you see a little bit of fluttering in the leaves in the bushes, well, it could be the wind, could be a tiger ready to pounce and kill you. And if you guess wrong and it's the tiger, you're dead. So your brain is always on high alert for anything that's different, anything that's unusual, anything that doesn't fit the template that you have in your mind as what's normal. So if we are all accustomed to whatever's normal for us, going out to work every day, going grocery shopping once a week, my normal might be getting up at a certain time and walking my dogs and then sitting down in my office. For some of you, it might be driving your kids to school. Whatever the normal is for you, it's been disrupted. And so that part of the brain that's constantly looking out for anything that's different or unusual or weird in our surroundings has been triggered and is on high alert. And that's why we feel so uncomfortable and so weird about living this life in our homes mostly and only going out for essentials and suddenly having our spouse at home who wasn't at home before and all those other things. Because the brain is setting off the alarm and saying there is actually something wrong here when this happens, even if it's totally fine. The brain wants the familiar. The brain wants you to have the same routine, habit, surroundings that you always have. So I want to give you just a couple little tips about what you can do to try to maintain that. And so the first step in adjusting to the new normal is not to try to immediately make your adjustments because it's a whole different way of living. I've seen people who are doing things like, reorganizing their whole house or whatever. That may not be the most efficient or effective first step to keep your mind calm and in check. The first and most efficient thing that you can do is to seek out and replicate as much of your customary routine as possible. So that could be any of the habits, any of the things that you're used to that give you comfort, as small as they might be. So, some of you know that I taught English at the college level for almost 30 years. And many of my students were English as a second language because I'm just outside Toronto, which is one of the most multicultural cities in the world. And so many, many students came in not really speaking English, and they were taking English classes when they didn't really know how to speak English yet. And so what did these students do the minute they arrived in the country? They sought out other people from their home country and communities where there were people from their home country. And I used to teach a course on international cuisines, a sociology of food course at the college level as well. And I would ask people to talk about a particular dish that they made. They had to do a little presentation. And of course, all these students would talk about something traditional from their home country that they missed so much. Why? Because that was the comfort, that was the routine, that was what their brain was used to, and they were trying to bring some of that sense of calm, comfort, familiarity into this country with them. And then once they were accustomed to living here, after a few months, it usually took about 3 or 4 months, then they could start learning, then they would venture out and start experimenting with all of the foods that are Canadian foods. And so it's really the same principle that your brain's going through now. So if you can replicate things that feel familiar, things that are part of what your previous routine was, it's going to calm the brain down. And it's going to allow you to go through your day feeling less stressed out, less anxious, and more like you are able to rebuild or start from scratch building this normal. So what can you do right now? What things can you do? And this is a question to ask yourself. What can you do right now that is not so different from what you did before? So I would suggest, and you see many of the experts suggesting this, get up at the same time that you did before. Take your shower, get dressed the same way you did before. So many people are passing around jokes and memes about morning pajamas and evening pajamas, or I haven't showered in a week or whatever. This isn't a vacation, right? This isn't a holiday. It's your life, and you're still living it every day. And if you want it to be a productive, happy life, no matter how long we stay sheltering at home, you have to reproduce those habits and those routines. So if you're working, get up and start working. Don't let everything go to hell. Don't eat the cupboards bare and start eating all of the crappy snack foods that you would never normally touch just because you're home now. It's not, the world isn't entirely different. It's just our setting that's a little different. So if you can replicate as many as possible of those structures in your life, your mind is going to feel a lot better. You're actually going to feel better than if you lays out on the couch watching Netflix all day and eating Oreos. So give it a try. Start with the small things and see how many of those you can replicate, and do that for a week or two, and you're going to find that your brain calms down and you're going to be so much better able to tackle this whole new world and this whole new structure that you want to then start building in the so-called new normal. So I hope that's helpful, and I hope that you find that very grounding. Let me know how it goes. What we've been doing, I posted yesterday, I think, about I've been cooking foods that for me are comfort foods, foods that I would normally have all the time, and simplifying my cooking so that I can do that. But also, as you can see, like I'm getting dressed every day. I'm going to the office. There's my office. I'm going to the office every day, just like it's a normal work day, because it is. Now, I know for some of you it isn't, but that doesn't mean that you have to stay in your pajamas all day. That doesn't mean that you have to never wash your hair. Treat it like a normal day, and you're going to find that you actually feel better. So I hope that's helpful. As I said, let me know if it is. If you're needing more support around this and you're finding it difficult to get to that point where you can start implementing those things, I'm offering one-on-one coaching right now on a sliding scale for people. I know it's tough times for a lot of people, and this is on till the end of the month. You can go to rickiheller.com/coaching special to sign up, or just leave me a comment or DM me if you have any questions at all. Be happy to hop on a call with you to talk more about what's involved. If you have questions about the coaching, we can discuss it there too. And if you want to just talk about what it is or what does coaching mean or is it right for you, you can go to rickiheller.com/chat, CHAT. All right, everybody, have a great rest of your day. Hang in there. We're all in this together. Lots of love to you.